Boom 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 boom
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Post Wrestlemania Rant-a-mania podcast. I, as always, am your host, Dale Curtis, and with me is Clark V. Tatum.
Hello.
Today we will be talking about WrestleMania 31 and the Raw that followed it, and what it all means for the company going forward. We can start with the tag titles match on the pre-show for WrestleMania. It's kind of came out exactly as we predicted on our pre-WrestleMania podcast. It
About one of the only things that came out exactly as we predicted.
No shit. It was a really good match between a bunch of good wrestlers that in the end didn't mean anything, and meant even less given what happened on Raw, but we'll get to that. I enjoyed the match thoroughly. I think everybody got some good spots in. It was entertaining.
Verily.
It worked. There's not much to say about it. But then we got the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, which worked kind of as I predicted. I told you it'd be boring as shit until it got down to the Final Four.
It was just a clusterfuck, as all Battle Royals are.
The one pre-Final Four thing I want to talk about is Hideo Itami and his involvement. He actually eliminated... I forget who he eliminated because I was dumb and didn't write it down. But he actually eliminated somebody. And he lasted in the Battle Royal for quite a bit longer than I thought he would.
And he got some pop from the audience.
Yeah, the audience was really into Hideo. There was a Hideo chant. At one point, it was a little quiet, but it was also an open-air stadium, so that very well...
Right, and he's only been on NXT. It's not like he's going to have the whole crowd.
But then we got the Mizdow turnaround that we should have gotten forever ago.
Right.
We should have gotten this at the Royal Rumble. In fact, this exact thing should have happened at the Royal Rumble. Turned on him and almost won.
It's almost like they did a Battle Royale, so it's like a mini Rumble so they could have the same exact thing they were planning.
Well, and the thing that blew my mind is they go through all of that, and then he doesn't win.
Yeah, it's Big Show who wins.
Big Show still wins. Big Show, the guy who, he didn't need the push, he didn't need the win, he wasn't retiring. They just gave it to him to give it to him, I guess.
Right.
It was stupid, but the Andre Battle Royal is stupid, and I have a feeling, after seeing that it got bumped to the pre-show this year, I don't see them even bringing it back next year. Nobody cares, because Battle Royals suck. The first match we got on the actual WrestleMania card was the Intercontinental title match, which was pretty insane.
Very insane.
A lot of the bumps were fairly safe. The one I want to talk about that really fucked me up was Dean Ambrose. It looked like the ladder. For those of you who don't remember or don't know, he was powerbombed out of the ring through a ladder onto the floor.
Through a fucking ladder.
Now, it looked like the ladder was kind of pre-rigged to break, because it snapped right in half.
Though that might have been a problem in the first place.
But what looked like happened to me was Dean Ambrose did not land on his back. He landed backwards on his neck. And it looked to me, this was not true apparently, obviously, but it looked to me at first like he had landed on his neck, and then when they showed him talking to the MT, I thought he mouthed the word broken. And so I freaked out at first. He's alright, obviously, he showed up on Raw, but those are the kind of bumps I was talking about in the pre-WrestleMania podcast. They're dangerous. They freak me out. I know they took time off of his career. It definitely didn't help him. And it's just hard to watch guys take those bumps when something so small kills, something as small as a malfunction on an Irish whip kills a wrestler in Mexico not that long ago. It's just hard to watch these guys take these bumps and knowing what's coming for them down the road.
Right.
And I really wish, I understand it's WrestleMania and, it's a big, important match, but I didn't see the need for something that crazy. And I wish WWE would put the kibosh on things like that, because it's really not safe. He ended up okay by sheer luck, basically. And I'd like to see that not have to happen as much anymore. And, of course, Daniel Bryan won,
Right.
which we all kind of saw coming. And it'll be fantastic going forward with him having the Intercontinental title and John Cena having the U.S. title. It'll elevate them both, I think, and so I'm really excited about that, personally. The next thing we got was Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins.
Which was almost completely pointless, in my personal opinion.
It was a pointless match, but it was a really good pointless match.
I felt I had some really good spots. Again, I'm not that big of a fan of Randy Orton. I don't think I ever will be. Even though he does deliver at Mania most of the time, he just comes off as boring to me. He has no personality. And when he won, what did it do for him? It absolutely did nothing for him.
Well, no, you don't. And that's the thing, though, is that Randy Orton is at John Cena status here. You can't elevate him much higher, and there's nothing that he's gonna lose that's going to bring him down any. He's a made man for the rest of his career. You don't have to worry about hurting him. And given the ending of Mania, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But I don't like the choice to have Seth lose. I don't think it looks good. Otherwise, the match was amazing. Like we figured
it was pretty
it would
good.
be.
Yeah.
The spot at the end really sealed it for me. When Seth went for the curb stomp, and then Orton stands up, launches him into the air, which had to be perfectly timed, and then comes down in an RKO. That to me was the spot of the night. Partially because it's not all that dangerous, guys, and yet it looked cool as hell.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. The next thing we got I'd like to talk extensively about, because we actually just watched it again about 10 minutes ago, is the Triple H and Sting match, and specifically their entrances.
I think specifically that match is the worst part of the night. Everybody was on Twitter like, "Oh, the best match ever," but it was just a nostalgia trip. It was a shitty match, and it was exactly not needed. No one needed it.
People were telling me I was crazy. I said Sting doesn't have it anymore. Sting can't go anymore, and I don't think Triple H can either. And people are like, "Oh, you're crazy. Sting can still go, and Triple H can..." And they proved that they can't. They had to overbook the crap out of it, and it was still a really bad match. The match itself aside, the entrances were some of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in WrestleMania.
I still don't understand it. There's nothing. I look at it, and nothing is coming to... I don't get it. There's
the Sting entrance with the I believe they're supposed to be the Japanese drum group. It makes me feel like they got him for Hideo Itami when the Royal Rumble was going to be on the main show, or the Battle Royal was going to be on the main show. And then they moved it, and they're like, well, we're not going to waste these guys on the pre-show. Let's put them in Sting makeup.
For some reason.
Because it doesn't make any sense to Sting's character whatsoever to have a Japanese drum group sitting out there drumming. And Triple H with the Terminator tie-in.
God, that was so dumb.
So dumb. It looked so bad.
It looked like something a 14-year-old or 13-year-old would think of. And then the skull, it's not even so bad. Like, okay, I get the arm. I got it. All right. New Terminator movie's coming out. They need to fucking promote that shit because Arnold Schwarzenegger for some reason. But then he takes that stupid looking shit off. And then they hand him. It's not like he picks them up or whatever. That would have been something. He gets handed these chains with these Terminator skulls on them. He's like, yeah! It's like, you didn't kill any of those Terminators, Triple H.
For all we know, they're made of styrofoam, so lifting them isn't impressive either.
It's like, maybe if it was darker, it would have come off better, but it was just so dumb. And I still think it would have been dumb if it was darker. It just would have been sold better. There would have been the lights and everything. It would have been harder to see.
That's something I was talking about earlier this week, is it feels like WWE did not account for the idea that it was going to start at roughly 5 o'clock LA time. And that it wasn't, they were going to have about a half hour of darkness. And it seems like they planned all these entrances, especially the later ones, to be in darkness. Like the Triple H one. You're right, it's stupid, but it would have been a lot less stupid had it been dark. The Bray Wyatt entrance with the scarecrows would have looked a lot cooler if it had been in the dark. So it kind of feels like they based this on East Coast time.
Right, they weren't ready.
And didn't realize it was going to be light out for 90% of the show. That being said, I still like open air stadiums for WrestleMania. It just gives it a bigger feel. The next match we got was PJ versus the Bellas.
Which was actually pretty impressive, I won't lie. I thought it was it ended up being better than I thought it was. I thought, alright, we're giving them the chance. We're gonna let them go and do their thing, and it's either going to end shittily or it's going to be very quick, or they're going to surprise us. And I was surprised because these people, they were taking bumps. And Paige specifically, I'm still not a fan of the Bellas. I do not like the Bellas, but Paige specifically was doing a really good job throwing the moves, which is the problem a lot of divas have, that they don't make these moves look very good. And I always compare it to, like, if you ever watch like a 10-year-old play wrestling, not trying to compare divas to 10-year-olds or anything, but it's like when they throw a clothesline, it looks wrong. It's like their arms too far out, or they fucking don't hit them in the right spots.
They don't really throw their moves with any impact a lot of the time. And I think that's a big chunk of what's missing, but they're getting better at that overall, and I thought this match was a good example of that. I thought all four divas did a very good job. The crowd seemed quite receptive. The crowd seemed to really enjoy it.
Right.
And WWE gave them a decent length of time, considering it wasn't a giant divas clusterfuck like they usually have.
Right.
And so I think they did a good job presenting this match. I think the divas stepped up and grabbed that supposed brass ring. I hate that term, but I'll use it.
Well, and it's funny, though. On the pre-show, I predicted the Bellas would win, but I was kind of doing that just to be safe. Just because I don't want to see the Bellas win. And it was like probably the only prediction I made that I didn't want to see, but I was almost wrong in every other prediction I made. But it was like Paige, I'm sticking to it, won the match, which I was happy about, and it just, the Bellas don't need the push. They are reality television. They are reality television stars at this point, and I have no urge to see them, and I don't care about Total Divas. I don't care what money it's making WWE. It's not wrestling. It's kind of annoying that they're doing it, and I just want the wrestlers being pushed. I don't want the reality stars being pushed.
See, I'm of another mindset. I don't necessarily think the Bella Twins need the push, but I like the idea of Total Divas. I like that it brings in a new audience. I like that it puts more focus on the divas, and it gives not just the Bellas, but a lot of the other divas a different sort of platform to get over on.
Well, I feel like it's the Vince Russo utopia of wrestling without wrestling, you know. I feel like it's getting closer to that point where it's not about wrestling, it's about corporationism and such like that. It's about building the business of multimedia, and that, I'm sorry, call me old school like that. I want wrestling. I don't tune into wrestling for all the talk. I get annoyed when that's on wrestling. I don't want reality TV.
Mean, if we're being totally fair, as much as I love wrestling, it doesn't make money.
I don't personally care.
I know you don't care, but the people who run the shows have to make money.
And wrestling does make money, or this wouldn't be such a successful company. It has to make money. The problem is they want more. They want more than they have, and they want more people to be watching, but they don't have a sense of enough, and that's my problem with Total Divas. I don't know
that it's more people so much as a different demographic they're reaching towards. WWE historically has not brought in the younger female demographic, and advertisers are starting to realize what an important demographic that can be.
I'm
not talking about, like, I don't think the vast majority, not to generalize, but I don't think the vast majority of 12-year-old girls are ever going to like wrestling. The demographic they kind of need to reach out and grab is the 20-something women who like wrestling and want to latch on, but there's nothing for them to grab onto.
But the problem is, the reason why there's nothing to grasp onto is because until now they haven't been giving divas a chance, and I don't feel like Total Divas is that real chance that the divas be needing.
No, but what it does, and this is the last thing I'm going to say because we kind of need to move on, but what it does is it brings in the audience that makes the divas profitable. Yeah. And I think that's the end goal here, and I think we'll see that as time goes on. The next match we got was the U.S. title match, Rusev versus Cena. Which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
I thought it was a really good match. I disagree with the ending, but I guess when you have the directory they're going for, it's not that bad. But again, I think the hype behind it was stupid. The build up of this super patriotic bullshit. It was just so hammed up, and it was just so ignorant, and it's feeding on this basis of wrestling fans who are just dead from the neck up, who have no actual political understandings of foreign affairs, and they try to do this cheap heat of USA versus Russia, and it's just dumb.
The build-up was terrible. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The match itself was fantastic. It's like I've been saying, Rusev is a very talented big guy that doesn't get a lot of credit for it, and Cena is far more talented of a worker than he gets credit for.
Right.
I don't like Cena winning as a singular act, but when you pair it with Daniel Bryan winning and a renewed focus on the mid-card, I think long-term it's a good move.
Yeah, I agree. But can I just say, Rusev had the best entrance of that night.
He came in a fucking tank!
That was awesome. I thought that was
awesome!
It wasn't stupid or anything. That was awesome. The one problem I had with the entrances of that match is that John Cena had this whole I Love America vignette, which, like...
It was stupid. I can't even think of a redeeming quality to that shit.
It was, and here's the thing. I'm not trying to be, like, sound all anti-America, but I'm like... What's so great about cheering someone from America on? I don't get why that has to be such a selling point for this. I don't get the U.S. title in general. Again, as I said on the pre-show, how does someone be a U.S. champion? Again, when a foreigner who doesn't live in America at all, when he can become champion, there's no real U.S. champion. And here's my problem. Not the patriotism, not all that nonsense and details. It's the fact that John Cena goes on this tirade of, America gave you the chance, you have to show America the respect and whatnot. I'm like, no, he came to America because he got a job in America. It's not like America's been treating him all that greatly with wrestlers being cheered when they tear down his flag or something. Like, it doesn't make any sense to be loved when you are so hated. He's not respected in America. Why should he show Americans respect when he's being so shit upon? It just doesn't make any sense story-wise, and I'm sick of the patriotic bullshit.
The build-up was not good, but I think in the end it's good, and I don't think it makes Rusev look really that much weaker.
No.
You can lose to John Cena. It's a lot like, and we'll cover this in a minute, losing to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. There's no shame to it.
There's no real shame.
Who don't do that. And so I don't think it makes Rusev look any weaker. And it takes the U.S. title off of him so he can move on to bigger things. I think Rusev is a future main eventer. I really do. And so I think this takes the U.S. title off of him in a convincing way that elevates the U.S. title, forces Rusev forward, and the only gripe I have is John Cena, but I can get over that.
All right, yeah. Anyways.
The next match we got was Taker versus Wyatt. And
it was oddly short.
It was short. I think that's partially because the rumor was, and I can't verify this or not, obviously, but the rumor was that Bray Wyatt hurt his ankle while warming up for the match. And so it seemed like they were both working really limited.
Well, Undertaker's age also probably came to effect.
That's a very big part of it. But given that, these two did a very good job of making a big spectacle of it.
Right.
They did a very intelligent style of match. They
did a good job telling a story, and
a fantastic job telling a story. I was very impressed with what they did, as limited as they were. The one issue I do have is the end. I really, really, really don't like that Taker beat Wyatt.
It made no sense. Again, it's one of those, and that's my problem with most of the endings of WrestleMania. It didn't serve any purpose to have Big Show win, to have Randy Orton win.
No, the matches were good. The endings didn't make a lot of sense. Especially when you talk about Triple H beating Sting.
Yeah.
It just doesn't... A lot of the endings didn't make a lot of sense in this one. To me, the only way I can justify this is that they're going to be at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be in Texas next year. And so I can only assume that, if I'm being optimistic, that's going to be Taker's last match, and they're going to have him lose to Bray Wyatt.
That would be awesome, because I don't want to see Sting versus Taker. Everybody's
God, no.
They're chanting for that shit, but it would be terrible.
I really hope that after this year, and seeing how bad Sting looked, that we can just squash that.
Right.
We can just squash this Sting Taker, Sting everybody else nonsense, and just be done with this worship of Sting. He had his match, let him be gone with his bald spot and his weird face.
Here's what I would have done if they were going to Texas. Here's what I would have done with this Undertaker thing. I would have had Bray Wyatt win. And then it's in question, well, the dead man's losing it. Deadman's losing. He's not that WrestleMania spectacle anymore. Can he even win anymore? He's getting too old or whatever. And then at Texas, Bray Wyatt and Undertaker face again. And then Bray Wyatt loses. I'd accept Bray Wyatt losing then. It just doesn't make any sense now. And if Bray Wyatt wins then in Texas, if they do that match, I'll totally accept that too. But I feel like it would be better if it was the other way around, because that would make more sense to me. Being in Texas, also hyping up Bray Wyatt and having the dead man in question, it just doesn't make any sense this way around.
I don't think so either. But, all that aside, they put on a decent match.
Right.
Taker looked all right. They both looked good. I have really not a ton to complain about this WrestleMania, with the exception of Triple H and Sting.
Right.
Other than that, it was a very solid WrestleMania. I'll probably watch it a few more times, because I really enjoyed it.
I don't think it'll go down as one of the best, but also not as one of the worst either.
Well, no, and the main event is what really sealed it for me.
Yes.
Lesnar versus Reigns, even before Seth Rollins came out, Lesnar versus Reigns was fantastic. Reigns did an amazing job. Lesnar did an amazing job. They both looked like monsters. It looked like a real fight. Then when Seth Rollins came out, I about lost my shit.
That was awesome.
Even though we totally predicted it, we all just about lost our shit. And when he actually won, because I didn't believe he was going to win.
Right, he came out so early, the match was still going on, there were so many variables, it was really in question, especially with him losing against Randy Orton.
And I mean, that's not the only thing, there's this pessimistic part inside of me that just goes, Vince hates me.
Right.
And this is what I want to see happen, and so Vince is going to ruin it somehow and give Roman Reigns the title. But no, it was a very well done ending. The people were shocked, and I'm amazed a heel walked out of WrestleMania with the title. Somebody can look it up, but I think this is one of not even a handful of times that it's happened. It's a very rare thing that a heel walks out of the main event of WrestleMania with a title. Especially
winning it. There's been a few times where Triple H retains it or something like that, but this is one of the few times that a heel wins it. It's usually such a, happy ending, because WrestleMania is the end of everything.
But I think now that you're doing the $9.99 deal with the network, you can throw the needing a happy ending for Mania out the window.
Right, it allows you
more.
Have
a heel win. They're not paying $70 for it. So that opens up a lot of freedom in that sense. I hope they don't use that freedom to have a lot of schmaz endings, but I don't think they
I just want to say, real quick, after that whole Seth Rollins ending, it was the funniest thing watching Twitter. Because either you were like, Seth Rollins wins, yeah, and you were like cheering the shit out of it, or you were like, Seth Rollins shouldn't have won, it should have been like Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, and it was just hilarious watching the fight go on. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people were blocked. I'm pretty sure there was like a whole divide in the WWE universe about the whole thing.
People were blowing up on Twitter about it.
And that's another thing I just want to go over real quick. During this WrestleMania, I felt like more people were talking about WrestleMania. A lot more people were active about it on social media and such. I thought you saw a lot more people, and there was like a few. Who was it?
I think it was Kumail Nanjiani who tweeted something along the lines of, when did I miss the meeting where we all decided that wrestling was cool again?
Right.
Because, Twitter blew up about Mania more than just about any year I can remember. People were watching that I had no idea even liked wrestling.
Right.
It was kind of a cool visual to see just overall. And they didn't starfuck us to death. They didn't.
No, that was one thing I was very happy about. Oh, we forgot to mention The Rock.
Oh, yeah, that segment. Triple H, Stephanie, The Rock. And it was an okay segment. Triple H and Stephanie came out, and
it kind of ran a little long, to be honest.
It ran a little long, and The Rock came out and started making dick jokes. And then Ronda Rousey was there.
Yes.
And The Rock pulled her out of the crowd, and she hip-tossed Triple H, which is one of the coolest.
And Triple H sold it. He was
sold
like...
the shit out of it. It was awesome. She hip-tossed Triple H, and then she put Stephanie in like an armbar thing, and it ended up being a really good segment, and I hope they do. I hope it wasn't just a one-off thing, because Ronda Rousey did a very good job.
Right, and
selling her anger and playing the part she was supposed to play. I was actually really impressed with it.
And the second thing most people know is, even because I follow a lot of anime fans on Twitter too, and not all of them are wrestling fans, but because she was wearing its Over 9,000 t-shirt, which sold out on Hot Topic's website. You could not buy that almost as soon as WrestleMania was over. But they were all like, you see this on wrestling? It's like, it's over 9,000. Vegeta had a WrestleMania moment.
Vegeta had a WrestleMania moment.
And that, I think that's what helped sold it. If she wasn't wearing that shirt, she would have still been menacing and believable and all that.
Fucking Rousey, I wouldn't fight her.
Well, no, yeah, but the problem is they've done the whole MMA bring people in and shit, and it doesn't go.
It usually doesn't work. Ronda Rousey did a fantastic job.
Right, and I felt like she really made herself feel like one of the fans. She was a fan of the whole thing, which made it great.
I believe that Ronda Rousey's a wrestling fan.
I hate Stephanie McMahon, but I'm glad that she had enough sense to have her get her comeuppance, if you will.
She got physically hurt, which is important for a heel to do.
Right.
And while it wasn't a wrestler on the roster who did it, it was still a cool moment for the fans to get to see Ronda Rousey put her in an arm lock. And just seeing Ronda Rousey on there was really cool, and I've seen it all over non-wrestling coverage news talking about it. And so, that was a hit. So well done on that one, and well done on WrestleMania as a whole.
I felt it was really good. We didn't have any snookies or anything that. The live performances were kind of shit in my
but even then they were shorter, and there was less of them than most WrestleManias.
Right.
So, I'll take it. The real story to me...
Yes.
Is the Raw the next day. And now we're not going to run this down match by match, but we're going to talk about some of the bigger points. The first one I wanted to talk about being the Lucha Dragons.
Woo!
I've been a big fan of this tag team for a long time on NXT.
Yes.
The Lucha Dragons are really good. Kalisto is fantastic. Sin Cara's good. Sin Cara's been good since they changed it to Hunico. And seeing them come out and win the tag titles right away.
That was unexpected.
That's how you build tag teams. That's how you debut a wrestler. Go ahead. Use the mid-card titles for that. They did it with Carlito.
Yes.
Carlito came out right away, won the U.S. title from Cena his first match. Do that. Don't do it with the world title. But do it with the tag titles.
And don't do it all the time.
No, but everyone, them coming out and winning right away with the tag titles, that puts them over.
And it was a surprise.
They were already over huge. Just seeing them was a surprise, and the fans popped like crazy, but when they won, the fans went nuts. And so I see good things for Kalisto and Sin Cara down the road.
Well,
and the Dragons are over.
Just overall theme I saw in this Raw, which we'll get to all the specifics, it seems like Triple H is having more control because it was a lot of...
People on Twitter were like, did Vince fall down the stairs or something?
Right.
Because this seemed like a 3-hour episode of NXT for the most part.
Which was awesome.
It was well booked.
It seemed like they were getting rid of all the old shit that wasn't working.
It was almost a no-hitter. We'll talk about the almost, but it was almost a no-hitter. It was almost the perfect Raw. This is easily the best Raw I've seen in the 3-hour era.
Yes.
And maybe extending a few years back beyond that. This has been it was amazing from top
Absolutely.
to bottom. Another debut I wanted to talk about from NXT was Adrian Neville.
God damn, I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting it, and they gave him a huge debut.
And it was with Curtis Axelmania, who I love, and it was a fast fucking match. It was just completely, you had to be on the ball or it could have gone terrible. But Adrian Neville just comes out and he's flipping everywhere, he's running everywhere. It's great, and I think it's a problem though that Axel will not get the credit he deserves because you have to be able to keep up with someone like that, and he did a phenomenal job keeping up.
Axel did a really good job with the time because Adrian Neville seems to work on a different timing, a much faster timing than other wrestlers do.
Yes,
and so it's weird. It's hard to watch sometimes when a wrestler can't keep up with him, but Axel did a really good job.
Right. That match was phenomenal. It came out of nowhere. Everybody popped for it. More NXT.
He finishes it off with the Red Arrow.
Yes.
That twisting shooting star press, which is one of the most visually stunning moves I've ever seen.
Yes.
And the crowd love it. And so you've got both Lucha Dragons and Adrian Neville debuting, getting huge pops, and being even more over when they left that night. If you adjust that... It's a good Raw. Already, it's a good Raw.
Yeah.
Without this laundry list of other things that were really well done. The Brock Lesnar suspension.
Dude, that whole segment was brutal and awesome, and basically...
Brock Lesnar F5'd the world. That is the summary of that segment.
Yes, and it really does feel like when he trashed everything, it felt like basically Triple H saying, oh, nope, all this old shit, it's gone. Michael Cole has a quote-unquote spinal injury. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to sell, but he's going to be out for a while.
It was really interesting the way they did. Brock Lesnar just tore apart through the announce table, F5 Michael Cole out of his shoe,
That was a whole meme for the whole night.
And I think it looks like Michael Cole's going to be out for a while. That's where the night got kind of weird, because you had all the announcers go out, and so they sent out Byron Saxton to do it.
Who had to be nervous as hell.
Here's the thing. He had some stuff working against him. He was nervous as hell. He was trying to sell the carnage of everything, and so you didn't want him to come and be like, well, here's this match, ha ha ha. You know, you wanted him to have that somber, not saying quite as much tone. And honestly, I think he did a good job, and then they sent King out to help him partway through.
Who you could tell was kind of leading him by the hand to an extent.
Yeah, I'm hoping this paves the way to rework the announcers, because it's not working.
Yeah.
I know we've said that a lot before, but the announcers are terrible. And
they're one of the worst parts about Raw every week, it seems.
Every single week. And so if they use this as an opportunity to shuffle them around, I will be very happy.
And let me just... Everyone on Twitter was saying it. I was saying it. Renee fucking Young on commentary. I would love it.
I've been saying it for a while now. Renee Young is one of the most knowledgeable announcers they have. Knows about wrestling. Loves being in the wrestling business. Is very intelligent, has a very nice voice to listen to.
And the fans love her.
And the fans adore Renee Young. She has so much credibility, it's ridiculous. And the fact that they haven't put her on the announce table yet is kind of stupid. And I'm hoping they use this as a chance to rectify that, because she belongs on the announce table. The next thing I want to talk about is All Night. And this was the span of All Night. Seth Rollins being awesome.
Yes.
Claiming he's a fighting champion. And then bailing out of the ring saying the match isn't going to happen because he's kind of jet-lagged and his foot hurts a little from curb stomping Brock Lesnar.
That was awesome. I love the grinning,
just
everything.
Hilarious. I'm a fair champion. I'm a fighting champion. Seth Rollins knows how to be a heel. He is so good. Half the roster could take lessons from him. He knows how to be a heel.
And I missed that Weasley heel. They haven't given a Weasel heel the title in forever, and it's so awesome.
It's also nice. The next thing I want to talk about, we got they had the open challenges for the Intercontinental and U.S. titles. The one I wanted to talk about was John Cena versus Dean Ambrose, partially because it was amazing.
Yes.
Watching Dean Ambrose fight John Cena was it's one of those weird dream match scenarios that you didn't think about, but you all once you see it, you know you need to see the match some more.
Well, and here's the thing. I want to say that John Cena came out and did a promo beforehand, and he, through his whole night, through his whole part of this night, he won me over, because the fans were booing him and all of that, and it wasn't the same John Cena where he kind of ignored them. He'd acknowledge them a little bit or whatever, but he'd kind of ignore them for the most part. He was actually kind of playing into it. Like, hey, if you don't like me, you're not going to like this. I'm U.S. champion, and I'm issuing an open challenge, and whoever I'm going to face, I'm going to win, and I'm going to still be U.S. champion. And so he was playing on that. They're boos. And then
Ambrose comes out.
Yes. That was awesome.
Who, to my surprise, was not dead.
Yeah, right?
And they proceed to have a fantastic match. They tore the house down.
Probably one of the best matches I've ever seen on Raw, to be honest.
They're so good together, and I can't wait for this. I really hope this becomes a feud. That would be awesome. And I love Dean Ambrose's like old school caricature brawler style. Well, I've described Dean Ambrose this way a couple of times. He's like the drunken style kung fu of the WWE. He flops everywhere, and he moves in a really weird fashion that confuses people. Yeah. And it's just a really cool style that I haven't seen out of anybody else. And then I skipped past this, but Sheamus re-debuted. And he came out and he basically kicked everybody in the face.
Yeah, and he came out as a heel. It was
heel Sheamus, which I've been begging for.
Because I liked heel Sheamus. I thought that was the thing. He was a great monster heel. He had his fundamentals down in that way. And when they had him come out and start saying "fella" and stuff, it was just it was stupid. I hate creepy Uncle Sheamus.
Creepy Uncle Sheamus sucks. But no, he came out with a big orange mohawk.
Which I thought was awesome. Everybody was like, you look stupid. No, he doesn't.
A long beard and braids.
He's a fucking Irish warrior.
He didn't look stupid. Shout out to Sugar Slam for pointing it out. He didn't look stupid. Sheamus looked awesome. He looked like a fucking barbaric Celtic warrior, and it was a great debut. I loved it. And then I wanted to talk about, because the whole show was pretty much a no-hitter. It was amazing. Except the main event.
The main event, and hold up, I just want to say, the fans were awesome, kinda awesome. During the Divas match, when CM Punk's chants started coming in, and I'm like, I feel no way, one way or the other about CM Punk, but they were drowned out by AJ Lee chants, which should have been the whole thing. I'm sick of fans
hold on, because if you want to talk about this now, we can talk about this now. I was going to save this rant till the end, but we can talk about this now. I liked that, because, the fans started chanting CM Punk, and then a whole nother group of fans drowned them out with AJ Lee chants.
There seems like there was two different fans, and then later in that match, they were doing a Let's Go Divas chant.
There was a Let's Go Divas chant, but there's a chant I want to talk about that really pissed me off. And if you're listening and you were chanting this at the show, shame on you. But it happened during the Divas match, which was a good Divas match. But there was a disrespectful group of neckbeards at the show that decided to start, I don't know if it was either you suck Cena or you fuck Cena or something like that directed at Nikki Bella. This needs to stop. This is I see this from wrestling fans sometimes, and it's very disappointing, this sort of sexist. Wrestling is not your safe place to be a sexist piece of shit. You don't get to come here with that just because you think it's a male-dominated sport and be that way.
No.
It's unacceptable, and with the new fans that are flooding in and the Give Divas a Chance initiative, it's
over, basically.
Over, guys. You need to let it go. No more she's got herpes. No more she's a crack whore. No more you fuck Cena. No more none of that. We as fans need to treat the divas and every female... See, what a lot of you don't understand is that when you chant that, you're making every female fan watching, every female fan in the arena, incredibly uncomfortable. It's sexist as hell. It shows that you don't have any respect for them. And if you don't have respect for how hard they've been working to win you over, you don't have respect for wrestling as a whole.
Absolutely.
And you disgust me, basically. So it needs to end.
It's not just that.
I'm pleading with you, let the sexism go away.
Well, and here's the thing. I think it was specifically that crowd, for the most part, who's been having this problem. Because they don't bother chanting that in other crowds. Most crowds just do the generic "you suck" chants or something like that. There's never been this kind of outbreak. But these fans were good a majority of the night, but then there was a few moments, the Divas going back, and the Divas match being a back and forth for them, but especially at the main event near the end.
To me, the Divas match was the most morally objectionable. How they behaved.
Right, and there was other fans trying to shout them out.
Trying to shout them down too. So I will give credit to. It was about half the fans that were doing this shit that I really disapproved of. But then came the main event. Fans, please listen. The main event wasn't good.
No, it was kind of a sour point.
Booked, but it was the last 20 minutes of an amazing 3-hour show. The fans who were in the arena that night didn't seem to recognize that. They were given one of the most amazing shows any live crowd has ever seen, and then they didn't like the main event, and so they shat all over everything. The wave, guys, how fucking disrespectful can you be? You may not like the wrestlers in the ring, fine, I get that, but they're working hard. They have a craft that they're plying in the ring in front of you. You paid to come see it. Doing the wave, it's disrespectful. B, WWE isn't going to get it. WWE thinks any reaction you have is a good reaction. If you don't like something, sit on your hands. If you don't like something, don't make any noise. When you do the wave, when you chant things, when you're self-marks, which is what the crowd was that night. They were just marks for themselves.
Well, that was the thing.
They were like, oh, we don't like this main event. Now we get to be part of the show and fuck everything up. No, you don't.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't care for the wave. I thought it was kind of funny when you just, they took a moment from the match, or even the match kind of stopped, and the crowd and the cameras are kind of looking at the wave. I thought it was kind of funny. It was funny to look at. But what really bothered me at the end of the day is the stupid "we are awesome." I'm like, no, you're not.
God.
You're fucking losers. Oh, you did a wave. Congratulations. That was shit.
If you're listening and you were there, your "we are awesome" chants. No, you are assholes.
You
are not awesome.
Who was it? Oh, I'm trying to think. It's either heel wrestling or That's Not PG. or whatever. There was like, "We are awesome" chants. Not awesome.
No, We Are Awesome chants are very much not awesome.
I'm like, you're not a part of the show. Get the fuck over yourself. I'm not usually one of those fans. I'm usually a kind of an apologist for fans, because I get that, like, a lot of the shit has pissed us off over the years about what WWE is doing, but the way people are reacting is shit. There are other people...
Here's the thing, they're not reacting that way. If the whole show had been bad, and they were disappointed they showed up, I get that. But they were given 2.5 hours of amazing entertainment that they loved and popped for, and decided to be little shitty self-marks when one match wasn't what they wanted it to be. So I honestly have no sympathy for that crowd, and I really didn't. I don't like this trend of crowds doing this.
Right, they're acting so self-fucking-indulgent. You don't get what you want. Get the fuck over it.
And you don't get to be the show just because you bought a ticket.
No, it's cool when fans interact. It's cool when fans do something huge like that, but it's not when it's out of disrespect or out of spite. It's when the crowds feel to be a part of the show.
And no matter what you do, if you do it before a "We Are Awesome" chant, WWE's not going to listen to you. Right. They know you're being shitty little self-marks. Get over yourselves.
With that said, back to the match.
The main event was, it wasn't good. But it wasn't booked to be. It was the wrestlers you don't like.
Here's what I will say.
Roman Reigns.
Here's what I will say, and this is honestly why the match failed so bad, in my personal opinion. Kane and Big Show, they were the weak links, and they need to think about retiring. They've been around for too long. I love them. They seem like great guys. They gave us some great moments in the past, but they're getting old. They're not as fast. Imagine if, and I realize the storylines didn't line up at all to allow it, but imagine if it was like, say, when Seth Rollins was just standing there and they came up from behind. Imagine if instead of Kane and Big Show, it was Rusev and, let's say, Sheamus. That would have been huge. Everybody's like, oh, they're huge, and they're scary, and they're effective, and they're believable. Kane and Big Show are too old. If you want to make corporate Kane, fine, get him in a suit and have him come out every once in a while when he's super angry and just beat the shit out of someone. Don't have him go into this whole big match. It doesn't work. Big Show coming out, he needs to retire more than Kane does. Kane can still kind of move. Big Show is completely lost. I love him. Again, I don't want this to seem like I'm bashing on Big Show, but he needs to retire. He has health problems that will never go away now, and he needs to get out of the business. He needs to retire while he's still healthy to some extent. He needs to get out while people still kind of want to see him.
Yeah, it's come down to Big Show and Kane can't do what they're supposed to do anymore, and they need to let it go. Other than that, the main event wasn't great. But it was a bad 20 minutes on top of a 3-hour show that was just fantastic from top to bottom.
Here's my problem.
So I really can't complain.
I can't complain too much either. Here's the one problem. They had such a build-up. If they had booked it right, it was a time for Roman Reigns to be able to prove himself. If they had done the match right, no. If they had done the match right, because even Cena at one point got cheered when he pinned Dean Ambrose because he gave such an amazing match. This match was slow. If fucking Roman Reigns had the same kind of match, people would have liked him more, because it wasn't for the title. It was just a feud thing, and people can get behind that. And people have been hating Roman Reigns a lot less recently.
Here's the difference. John Cena, while we may not like his character and we may not like the fact that he's all over TV, he's been around long enough to earn our respect. He's taken our boos, he's taken our shit, and he's plowed forward. Roman Reigns doesn't have that. I don't think right now there's anything they can do with Roman Reigns that will get the reaction they want.
Well, no, here's the thing.
With Roman Reigns, what they need to do is take him off TV for 6 months and bring him back later. That's your only hope. That or a Rock circa 97 style heel turn. Those are your only hopes.
Right, because it's the same exact situation. It's the die Rocky die super face fucking contrast.
It's exactly like Rocky Maivia when he debuted. And if they can do a Rock style heel turn, great. If not, he needs to go away for a while so the crowd can stop hating him.
If they can get him away for a little bit, what would be great to have him on NXT and do the purposely overbearing, trying to bury everyone else. I'm too big for this type of shit.
Hates the fact that he's on NXT.
Right,
I'm not going to play Fantasy Booker, but that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think this sends a great message for the future of the company. And I really can't wait to see where it goes next Monday and following through to Extreme Rules.
It was a good 48 hours for wrestling.
It was a great 48 hours for wrestling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And as always, try to remember, it's just a show. Have fun with it. And
it can't hurt you.
It really doesn't matter. Good night.